Hi everyone. That's hey. That's actually surprising. So many people here. Every time that we've done this session, there was, let's say, a more intimate stage. So, okay, that's all. So, welcome to the Drupal CMS Now and Beyond. We've been giving this session for some time now, but we're updating that, don't worry. So if you've seen that before, there's new stuff. So,
hello everyone, I'm Pam. I'm the product owner of Drupal CMS. I'm also the CTO of a Drupal agency based in Australia.
And I'm Cristina Chumillas and ckrina. You can find me as ckrina. I'm also the Drupal CMS product design lead and also Drupal core front-end framework manager and UX manager, which is something new. And also news. I'm also now a COO from Cambricon from this week. So. What are we going to talk about in this session? So we're going to go through first the vision and the strategy, and it's still relevant, even though you might think, are we actually going to run out of places? There is a lot of room in the front. Okay, we were joking about not having enough people, but welcome and thank you. So we are actually going to start with the vision and the strategy because that's still relevant and important on why we've been doing the choices or taking the choices that we've taken. So that's going to be important. And we are actually going to go through the current state and what's coming. That's going to be fun. So, vision and strategy. As you might know, we launched Drupal CMS 1 past January on the 24th birthday, and Dries today was joking about the 25th. Let's see. But we're actually planning Drupal CMS 2.0 for early 2026. As he was saying, there is like Christmas on the middle, holidays, and let's see exactly if that's going to be on the 20-something of January. But we usually have other slides, but I really like this slide, and after this I'm going to give that to Pam, but I love this slide. Actually, spoiler, Dries made a spoiler about that. There is a lot of room in here if you want to go to the front. So Dries made the spoiler. 2024 was great in terms of contribution. And this slide is important because it's not a nice chart where you see the things going up. So it's important in terms of that its organization credits on strategic initiatives. And that's okay, that's nice words. Today I learned the salad word concept, which it's not nice words. Word salad, thank you. Still need to learn it better. So it's not just a nice word put together. It's actually important contribution. It's strategic contribution paid by organizations that are actually believing on that and they need that. So that's really the Drupal community coming together, collaborating together on something that is going to be used by the rest of the community. So that's really strategic. And that's why actually coming to 2025 with this, it's right. I prefer this chart than Dries because it's red at the end. So. Your turn.
Okay.
Sorry. Go ahead.
All right. So this is, I guess, in a nutshell, what we're kind of aiming for with Drupal CMS 2.0/3.0. Enable marketing teams to launch fully branded professional websites in hours, not weeks. In the process of developing Drupal CMS 1.0, there was a lot of low-hanging fruit that we were able to kind of achieve really easily by just cobbling together a bunch of contra functionality that already existed that we all always use and it just sort of saves you setting it up again. But we were having trouble getting beyond the basics because you can't really make something super useful, but also generic. So we had all these trade-offs that we had to make. Like in the first version, we had the same content type provided 2 different ways because the name might be different depending on your use case. And we really realized that that was a limitation that we probably couldn't get over without knowing more about your specific use case and allowing sites to start further up the chain based on what they were trying to achieve. So out of that came the concept of site templates. So a site template is a near feature complete starting point for a website based on a specific use case. And the based on a specific use case is really important, again, because you really can't accelerate somebody without knowing what they're trying to achieve. So, I mean, again, in a nutshell, like site templates are basically Drupal CMS 2.0, although if you're wondering, you don't have to use Drupal CMS 2.0. We think it makes sense, and we think also for the marketplace that we will require them to be based on Drupal CMS initially. That way the users have a consistent experience across different site templates. So basically Drupal CMS 2.0 plus an SDC-based theme for Canvas compatibility, some default content, and then all the extras, which are essentially the features that enable your use case that are also accounted for in the theme. So the way we have sort of tried to describe this is making easy things less hard. So we have a long journey, and we're going to get to making easy things easy. But right now, we're making easy things less hard by focusing on, again, the theme and the sort of basic site template use cases. We're not going to go crazy and launch the marketplace with full-on commerce-ready, do everything you can imagine, because that's going to be a lot harder. What we're really trying to focus on is making easy things less hard. Making easy things easy, that will come later. So this is just a sort of, I guess, a guess of a where we are on the kind of high code, low code, no code spectrum. I think we're Drupal CMS 2.0. I don't think we can fully call low code, but I think we're getting very close to where we would be comfortable calling it low code. And then in future, 3.0, 4.0, that's a little bit of a question mark, but ideally that's where we'll get to. And a lot of that enablement will come from Canvas. So let's talk about the current state. We don't have an alpha yet. We were kind of piggybacking off of Canvas, and now they've got an RC. We should be able to have an alpha soon, but we just weren't able to get it for today. So what will we ship with? We've got an updated installer, which you might have seen in the Dries note, but instead of choosing a content type, now you can choose a site template in the installer. So at the moment, we have a starter site template, which is essentially like vanilla. It doesn't include any content types or any, it includes a Canvas entity and a basic page, but it doesn't include any really site-specific things. It doesn't have any global regions configured or anything. And then there's Byte, which is the one he showed again in the Dries note, so it's sort of focused on a SaaS product website. It includes a sort of a dark mode design and theme. It includes a blog, and it includes a newsletter sign-up and some other features that might be common. We're also planning to develop another site template soon called Lumen, which will be targeted at nonprofits. So again, the starter, it's sort of a vanilla kind of a thing, ready to go with Canvas. And I think that's actually a really important thing to call out is Canvas is really awesome, but if you don't have an SDC-based theme that's compatible with Canvas, you're going to be really, I guess, a little bit stuck and not really sure how to even really play around with it. So starter is a really good way of, I guess, accelerating, trying to use Canvas and even using it as a starting point. Byte, again, is for a SaaS product use case, and then Lumen will be nonprofits. So this is, oh, sorry, I skipped ahead, but this is a screenshot of Byte installed. Then Lumen coming soon, which will be a nonprofit use case. The features are kind of TBC. So obviously the headline, Drupal CMS 2.0 will ship with Drupal Canvas. I sort of feel like this is a bit of a letdown because we've been scooped by Dries, and if you went to the Canvas talk, you've already seen all this. But still, we think it's really exciting, and this is kind of the moment that we've all been waiting for. Canvas for node displays, which is also super exciting, also known as content templates. Again, this has been demoed, but it's so freaking cool that you can just drag in a heading component and link it to your node title, drag in a text component and link it to your body. I mean, the potential for this is just mind-boggling, honestly. And then something that we also are really focusing on for 2.0 is the idea of recommending extra features that we won't necessarily ship included, but that we will recommend to you based on your use case. So this is just a design. Obviously, this is like a version of Project Browser that will exist, but this is just a design for now. It just highlights the concept that we want to try to elevate contrib features and maybe integrations that are relevant to your use case. So what do we have available now? One of the things that we've started looking into is MailChimp integration. And even though the MailChimp module actually had really good integration already built in with OAuth, so you don't have to go in and set up API keys or anything, it was already really good. But we realized that with recipes and a little bit of ECA, we could make it even better. So the thing with Drupal modules is generally, right, you download it, you install it, and then you're like, okay, now what do I do? Okay, I figured out how to authenticate. Now I've authenticated with MailChimp. Now what do I do? Oh, I have to install another module called MailChimp Signup. Now what do I do? I have to create a sign-up form. Now what do I do? I have to place the block somewhere. Okay, you get the idea. Now, the way this works, thanks to the brilliant work of ThinkShout over the last couple of months, you can apply the MailChimp sign-up forms recipe. There's a prompt there immediately after you apply the recipe to authenticate your site with MailChimp. And that automatically will grab any audience that you have set up in your MailChimp instance, and it will create a sign-up form block for that audience that you can then add to a Canvas page. So it was a little bit clunky to demo this because it's kind of a multi-step process that it was a little bit drawn out, but trust me when I say it's really cool, and if you want to see it, I'm happy to show you anytime in the contrib room. And then I just wanted to highlight a little bit about why we focused on MailChimp. There's a very obvious answer. Intuit, which owns MailChimp, pays ThinkShout to maintain the module. So the module is really good, it has really robust support, and they have budget lying around from MailChimp to work on the module. So when we approached them to say, hey, we're looking at MailChimp as a common feature we think will be useful for many Drupal CMS sites, they were super excited because they have this money already, and they wanted to be able to spend it improving the module. The next thing I'm going to highlight is Stripe integration, which again beforehand was good, but clunky, and you had to do a lot of figuring things out. So in the process of doing this to try to see whether it was something we wanted to include in the nonprofit template, I realized that this was also a perfect use case for a recipe. So I created the Stripe web form donation recipe, which this is a screencast of the recipe application process. I'll let it play again just so I can show you exactly what's going on, but essentially the recipe prompts you for your API keys. So when you apply the recipe, you get this modal that pops up. You put in your API keys. It does all the configuration for you, and then the form exists. The configuration is all there. You can click on the form and view it, and then when you go to your Canvas page, you literally just drag in the web form block, choose your form, and you're done. That will take donations directly to your Stripe instance with no further integration required. I will note that the API keys are in this instance sorting configuration. You shouldn't do that. You should use the encrypt module. Yeah, you should use the encrypt module and fix it properly. That's a little tricky to do with a recipe because you need an encryption key and you should use an environment variable and just, yes, I know. But anyway, that is to say, it takes a lot of the complexity out of the process. I think if you've ever tried to do this yourself, then you'll I think understand how much easier this makes things. And then I mean just a little bit about why Stripe, because there is a Stripe module that's really well maintained. There's a Stripe web form module that's really well maintained, and of course, web form being web form, you can do anything. So this was kind of an obvious choice, but I think what I really want to call out here is that there are so many modules in Drupal that integrate with third-party systems that we've all probably worked with lots. Maybe some of us maintain them. Recipes have unlocked an incredible potential for making this super easy for end users. And maybe even not end users, just for yourself, right? How many times have you done something once, and then 6 months later you go to do it again, and you're like, I have no idea how I did that. I have to start from scratch, step through it again, read the documentation, and then maybe the third or fourth time you'll remember, but maybe by then it's changed, who knows. I really would encourage everyone here to think about how you can use recipes to simplify your own workflows, to make it easier for other people, and also just think about what integrations your clients are commonly wanting. is the integration already there? The MailChimp module is a great example where, as I said, it supports OAuth for authentication so that you don't have to go creating API keys, then coming back in and doing all this plugin stuff that tends to be really error prone. It all just works. And then again, combined with recipes and potentially even ECA, the possibilities are endless. And then I guess the last thing to call out, which again has been discussed already, but for Drupal CMS 2.0, one of the other things we're focusing on is supporting Canvas in contrib modules. So basically, any module that requires interaction in what was previously maybe the node form or wherever your module is used, if it's now going to be used in a Canvas context, there might be a little bit of work required to certainly integrate it into the editor, but also some pre-work in designing how it should work. Because obviously the Canvas editor is a totally new context with new workflows and new capabilities, but also new constraints and limitations, which we're well aware of. So I think we have an existing Drupal CMS issue with all of the contrib modules that were in 1.0. Many of them already work, many of them are in progress, and some of them do still need work. So that's definitely going to be a big focus area. And if you currently maintain any modules and are curious how this might affect you, then we would love for you to come talk to us in the contrib room. All right.
Okay, for everyone that is behind, there is like 20 seats, free seats in here. So if you want to come, feel free for that. So, what's coming? So, as Pam was saying, we're at the point where we're trying to make things easy, less hard, because we had this grandiose idea where we actually wanted to make easy things easy, but like step by step.
It takes time.
Yeah, it's not that easy. It's Drupal. You open a box and you find, well, 8 years old user, at least. Well, so on this next phase where we actually want really to make things easy, really easy, one of the things is that to make things easy, we don't need to have UX people, UI people, designers, call it whatever you want. People that know how to use Figma come at the end and make it pop. We need really to integrate UX in the process on defining the workflows, defining why we need to do that, and not just like make it nice. No, you really need to define who's going to do the things, define who is going to like actually use the things. So that's really important. And we have a lot of problems with that in Drupal. We don't have enough UX experts. And what we actually need is not just people that come and do UX. We actually need people that has the whole context, people that has experience, and that actually can grow to decision makers. We've seen really good cases like Emma, for example, that is in here. She's now over there. She's now also a Drupal core UX manager. And that is great because she has the context of years working on that. She has the knowledge on UX and he has the capability to say yes and no. And he has the capability to say to developers, that's great, that's a great idea, but that's not the way. And that's a big problem that Drupal has had, is that it's dev driven. And that's great for a lot of things, but we have to be dev and UX driven. So one thing without the other doesn't work. So some of the things that we've been doing with Drupal CMS, and it has actually proven, it's not just for saying that, is these user tests. We've gathered a lot of information from the different user tests that we've conducted. Emma has done an amazing job with that, and we've informed a lot of the decisions and made changes already based on that feedback. And we're also like going through interviews, iterations. We're asking people how they are actually using Drupal CMS right now, because there's people. How many of you have actually installed Drupal CMS? Wow, that's nice. That's actually nice, yeah. So we are looking forward. Just stop us to come and Emma is there. So stop any of us and give us any feedback, any problems that you've had, things that you think that would be like helpful. Please let us know. either on a DM on a Slack, on an issue, or whatever, or just stop us. And we want to hear from people that has actually been using them. But not just that. We actually want to talk with companies, distributions, Drupal distributions, companies that have an internal distribution. Please let us know. We've seen that if we want to have people actually investing in that, it doesn't mean that you're a final user of Drupal CMS. It means that you are working on Drupal. So if you are working on Drupal, you have a distribution, and you know that whatever module, country module, you always install that in your distribution. There has to be a reason for that. And maybe we don't know. We haven't found that module, or we have an alternative that doesn't work as well. So please let us know which are these things that already exist in the Drupal sphere, and we can put all this knowledge together. And some of the things that we did a while back, and Christoph is still here, we put autosave. And that model just works now with so many other things. Of course, Drupal Canvas now has its own thing, but there were a lot of solutions already working that we just put them together. Thank you for all the time and the patience on that. But that we're saying that seriously. Now it's important on the next steps that we talk with everyone. So with that context, one of the next things that we actually want to do is make it easier to start. So one of the important things, and I was so seriously, some of us were like laughing at the beginning because like, it's not going to be a big deal. Now it's stable, the launcher app. I'm not sure if you've, actually, how many people has tried that? Actually, I've been to a few camps lately, and several people came to me and they said, I'm actually building sites with that. And the problem that I have right now is that I don't know how to export the database. And it's like, but you're a professional Drupal developer, and yes, people is actually, that's how important is making things easy. And some of us might be like, by default, come on, it's Composer, you can't just do that. But no, actually that thing actually helped half of the designers that were helping out with Drupal install Drupal CMS and know what they were actually designing for. So this is a small thing. It actually can, if we get more people helping out on this, that could be something that we could integrate that on the workflow for so many internal development or whatever. Now Adam is probably going to be thinking, I'm going to kill her, don't put more stuff in here, but anyway, that has a future. Site templates is the other big thing, but the marketplace is an important big step. We've seen a lot of competitors, how important for them is that. And obviously it's not just the money that is going to make the marketplace itself, is how it's going to contribute to gather more people and to get more people within the Drupal community to come to the Drupal community. So there are several goals that are important in here. And this is going forward, and we're working on the wireframes, and well, hopefully it's going to happen soon. Something really important, and if I go to the US, that's not that important. But I remember one of the first camps that we did after explaining about Drupal CMS, explaining things. I went to the mountain camp in Davos, and the most important question and the thing that people asked me asked the most was multilingual. How is that it's not in there? In Europe, you just make the assumption that things are going to be multilingual. So that's a really important thing, and really a big priority. We really want to have like real sites using Drupal CMS and Canvas. And there is a plan, work in progress, and there is a plan. So we identified two main work streams. One is, for example, installing a site in something that is not English. Surprise, there are other languages, and that's really important. So I just love saying these things. The second case is having two languages, English and Spanish, and you have a website that has two completely different languages, and within that there is like more complexity, obviously, because why not? So one of the first things that we started working on was like the installer itself. Yolanda, I'm not sure if she's in here. No, okay, anyway. She created this amazing design based in a lot of patterns that are already working. And the implementation is like way farther. I'm not sure how to say that in English. Like it's almost there. There's some small details like some big projects are not compatible with multilingual yet, but we're almost there. So, but that's important because that's work in progress. You cannot build something that huge with all the things by default, but we're planning that. And then the second case, one of the big things that we did, and it took us hours, we actually started working on what's in there for multilingual. If you want to set up a site in multilingual, this is all the things that you have to do, all the steps. And I'm not sure if you see, like all the greens that are not circles, purple, those are decision points. So that means that the user not just have to do a lot of steps, but actually have to make a decision and know what they are deciding. So from 5 decision points, we actually simplified it to 2. And a lot of these things actually happen, a lot of those steps actually happen automatically, without actually the user seeing what is going on behind the scenes. So that means that we've simplified the installation process, and we're working on designs for all these. So, for example, while you enable this new language or the multilingual recipe, ideally we're going to work on a multilingual recipe that is going to be quite complex. And we actually need to explain a lot of things. How do you actually explain? Is it asynchronous? No, it's not asynchronous. Synchronous and asynchronous. I always change words. Yeah, asynchronous and asynchronous.
Sorry, it says it on your symmetric.
Symmetric, yes. Synchronous, symmetric. So, symmetric translations, if you have exactly the same menu items and in different languages. And asymmetric, you have different menu items, different nodes in different languages. Of course, yeah, you just have to open the box and see that there is always more complexity. But we are going to try to make it simple with Drupal CMS. So we started and we said, okay, we have Drupal core. Drupal core is multilingual. It's been multilingual for a while. It's going to be easy. The first use case, it's going to be easy. And then there is like, well, we have recipes, we have config actions, so we have to translate more things. It's not just get what we had. We actually have to translate more things. So it's not just that Canvas is not translatable. It's just that we have a lot of work. We have work to do. So thanks to the team that is working on all the other things beyond Drupal Canvas, there is a lot of work being advanced for when Canvas is actually ready. And there is FYI, if you don't know, on Thursday at 11:30, there is a multilingual buff for Canvas. So if you want to get involved, if you want to know what is going on or what's going to happen, come. We need people with experiences and can share what they've gone through, what they need in their projects, and we need more people giving opinions. So that wasn't a point. Okay, that's a date. So one of the things that we actually realized is that when you actually land in Drupal CMS, you land on the dashboard, and dashboard was another great example of things that we installed on Drupal CMS by default at the beginning, and it actually helped a lot. But the thing is that if you're a new user of Drupal, you might not know what's the next step. You land into the dashboard, and what are the next steps after that. So we are thinking about ways of improving this initial experience. We're still planning all that. This is, for example, the checklist API. And this is going to help a newcomer, not an experienced Drupal user, but a newcomer to actually know where they have to start. So we are trying to come up with these solutions for different problems and trying to make it easy to start. And we're going to start talking about things that are really far in the future. Really far. But if you're interested on that, helping on that, this is really, this is really a call for action, call for help, because we need not just developers, we need project managers and especially designers that will help on that. And really, we need designers. So, this is just a really early exploration. One of the big things that you're seeing on Canvas, and you don't until you start trying Canvas, you don't realize how it actually changed the mind. But we are talking about trying to refactor several admin pages, because the moment that you don't actually have to refresh the page, like this old school web and I navigate to a new page, when you are on Canvas and you actually start clicking around and you go back to completely perceive the difference of like having to load everything, the whole page again. So we are talking about making incremental improvements where you actually load parts of the page in a way that you don't have to click around. So, for example, we're trying to rethink. It doesn't mean that this is final. This is an exploration design. It's important. We're not for sure going there, but we're exploring ways of redesigning this content section. And I'm talking about section, not page, because it means that we're talking here about Canvas pages, all the content types, but we're also talking about web forms, maybe products. So we're talking utility pages. We're talking about like putting things together in a completely different way that it is right now. So we're exploring all this. So if you want to help on this, this is one of the big things that we're going to explore in the next months. Something else is the extend section. So right now, if you open the extend section, you have two main things. First is the modules that you have in your local machine, or your local, or in your server, whatever, installed and not installed. And then you can actually have a tab that actually allows you to browse for modules. So for someone that is not from Drupal, it's like, why do you have models on one side, models on another? Then I also have the recommended tab, because those are the recipes. But then I have another tab that is updates. But then I have the Drupal core updates, that it's not updates, but are content. So anyway.
Don't forget about uninstall.
Oh yeah, yeah. Of course. So, and absolutely, it's like one different tab, so you refresh the page. So we're thinking about actually separating that by tasks. If you're managing a site, you want to see the modules that you have installed, you want to update modules, you want to see if you have updates, you want to uninstall modules. But if you actually want to install new things, you want to browse things, you want to have things that might work well for your site, good recommendations, and maybe it's stuff that it's not installed on your local, but it's going to know what you have installed, it's going to make recommendations based on that. And that's actually necessary on a lot of ways. It's actually going to need updates, not just on the look and feel, it's going to have other implications, but that's the thing that we're also exploring. So if any of you want to get involved on that, you know where we are. Please let us know, just get into Drupal CMS Slack channel and just ping us. And the other thing, and that is really, really, really early exploration, and that's related to the thing that I was talking before, which is not refreshing pages. And what if you actually want to create a content type without the form? What do users that create content types actually use? Are they so? I've seen people that are content strategists use spreadsheets. Why? Because that's better than using the forms on Drupal CMS. But which other things they might be using that they are not using right now because it's not available for them? If you actually want to have a view of all the content types and the relationships between them, or the relationships between fields, or you actually want to have a quick look of the fields that content type has, maybe we don't need a form, maybe we need another tool. So we're exploring options. We are not anywhere yet, but if anyone has ideas, you might see that looks like a lot of ACA. It's not, but it's the same library, GS library. So it's the same interface or the same pattern to a lot of those things. So it's an initial exploration. If you have thoughts, I'm sure a lot of people have thoughts. You know where we are, so please get involved, help us, and come and give opinions. And we're on early ideating this stuff, so we are really looking forward for thoughts from other people. So,
I think I'll talk about this one.
Yeah.
I have the really enviable job of trying to figure out how to solve the hosting problem for Drupal CMS, which, yeah. So the launcher is awesome, Drupal CMS is awesome, DDEV is awesome, then what? Also, all the Drupal hosts that we have are also awesome. However, for the most part, unless I'm unaware, they don't support directly the use of Project Browser and anything package manager adjacent, so automatic updates, or basically allowing writing to the file system. So this is something we know we have to solve. We don't know exactly how to solve it yet, but I can say that we've done some evaluation of the existing so-called cheap hosting options, also known as shared hosting options. It's not pretty. I mean, it's not pretty in general. Like, I don't know if any of you have had the pleasure lately, but cPanel is wow. And basically, we have this kind of conflict between Drupal tends to solve things in a super robust, but also complicated way. And so the way Package Manager works right now, essentially every time you do an operation, it creates an entire copy of your code base, runs the operation. If it succeeds, then it replaces your code base. But if it fails gracefully and doesn't take your site down, which is great. However, the reality of that on the ground is that you have somewhere in the neighborhood of 50,000 files that are getting copied, updated, and then trying to get copied back. If you were a hosting provider and this activity were going on one of your servers, you might think something was wrong. You might think something malicious was going on, and you might block the site. So that is essentially what happens right now. You can run Package Manager. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it results in your site being completely shut down, and you have to contact support for them to unlock it. So that's not going to work. We don't know how we're going to solve it yet. As I said, this is sort of in the early evaluation phase, but we know that it's a problem, and we're, I guess, basically trying to develop a strategy for how to resolve it. I don't know what that looks like, but it might be a question of approaching one or two of the hosts and asking if they'll work with us to try to figure out a way to mitigate that, I suppose, automated reaction. And then, I mean, the reason that we want to do this is because I think the key thing is that, you know, we can do everything to make it easy to build a site, but if it's still going to be really expensive to host and maintain it, then, you know, we haven't really solved the problem. And then along the same lines, I mean, the updates problem is essentially the same problem. Package Manager under the hood, but also the automatic updates module in its current form only does patch releases. So it doesn't update minor versions of core, and obviously certainly doesn't update major versions of core. Maybe we don't have to solve that problem, but...
That's not an engineering problem, it's on purpose.
No, I know, but it's on purpose, which, yeah, so sorry for the recording. That's not an engineering problem, that's intentional, but it's intentional because it's complicated and it's hard. So, I mean, anyone who's used Composer knows that it can be a little bit frustrating. And so trying to totally abstract that away from the user, yeah, it's tricky. So I mean, again, this is a problem that we're aware of and working on. And I think, like I said, I don't necessarily think we need to solve the problem and make it like a one-click thing that you can upgrade from Drupal 11 to Drupal 12. I think there are probably compromises that can be made. So if we can solve the minor version problem, maybe the major versions, you have to hire a developer. I'm not sure. I'm just saying I don't think we need to make it completely automated. But anyway, these are the sort of next cabs off the rank that I think we have to solve the hosting problem in the same sort of timeline that we launch the marketplace, because we can sell all the templates that we want, but if there's nowhere to host them, then that's probably not going to be very long-lived. So on that note, this is where to connect with us. Drupal CMS development. Oh, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. Yeah, so not Experience Builder, obviously. Canvas, Drupal Canvas, I think is the channel. Drupal CMS development is where we do development stuff. There's also a support channel, but that's really only if you need help with a specific problem. So Drupal CMS development is super active. That's where we do most of our collaboration. Drupal CMS UX marketing is where you can connect with the sort of design product side. And then Drupal CMS AI. So you might have noticed we didn't touch on AI at all in this session, but that's because there are many other sessions that will cover that in great detail. So apologies if you're disappointed, but yeah, and then of course in Drupal Canvas, that's the other place we're collaborating. So yeah, that's it. Any questions?
Someone else can go first. Someone else can go.
Oh no, you had your hand up.
My questions are always, in the week. So does anyone else have a question? Okay. So in the Dries note, Dries made a very public declaration that Drupal CMS 2.0 would ship with XB.
Canvas.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Drupal Canvas. I was thinking about my question the whole time, and I'm like, I'm going to say Drupal Canvas, and I didn't.
Yes.
So up until now, I've been very comfortable with the fact that Drupal CMS doesn't have its own release management security team thing, and because it's been a set of best practices and user experience focused stuff, but this is sort of a different thing because Drupal Canvas is new and a lot of data, and there's all kinds of code stuff happening in the user interface. So how do you have thoughts about that, about involving the security team more, involving release management more?
I don't think that the inclusion of Canvas in Drupal CMS changes how we should handle Canvas release management or security management. I think that goes without saying that all has to be done. I think,
but it's Canvas's problem.
I wouldn't say it's Canvas's problem, but I think, I guess I would say, certainly I, as the Drupal CMS product owner, expect that will all happen, and whether that's in close coordination with the Drupal CMS team, I'm not really sure, but I guess what I would say is that Drupal Canvas is going to be used by any wide range of Drupal users, and so I don't necessarily know if there needs to be special handling for Drupal CMS. I guess I would say. I mean, the way it'll be handled the same way we handle all contrib modules. We don't pin versions so that anyone that's using it will get the updates along with everybody else, and we are not launching Drupal CMS 2.0 until Canvas has a stable release. So that's why we have kind of a lag, and that's why we don't have an alpha yet, is because we're kind of trailing behind them a little bit. So I guess I don't necessarily know why it would have to be treated differently, but I'm open to discussion if you think that needs to be revisited.
But let's talk afterward.
Sure.
Because January is very soon.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's not a question. So unless you guys made a new Slack channel, it's not Drupal CMS AI. There's an AI contrib channel.
Okay.
And I actually double checked.
Sorry
I was
about
like,
that.
okay, no one made a new channel.
No.
So yeah, there's AI contrib and there's the AI channel and the AI initiative. But yeah.
And then there's also 2 sessions tomorrow. So I'm presenting with Jason from MediaCurrent, who was one of the main people who worked on Mercury and Byte. And that's at 10:30 tomorrow. And then right after that is Adam's session on how to create a site template. So if you want to learn more about either of those topics, in addition to the many AI-related sessions. But I'm happy to promote that directly. All right. Thank you, everyone. Oh.
Right.
One quick
One question.
So I noticed that there was a small product or e-commerce thing in one of your screenshots. Are there any very far future plans for supporting any type of commerce or adopting Drupal commerce in the same way so more people can use it?
Well, I think that that's where the site templates come in, because Drupal CMS itself, it's sort of like the small core idea. Like Drupal CMS itself probably would never ship with commerce, but I certainly expect and hope that there will be site templates that are created around specific e-commerce use cases. And again, I think that's where, like I was saying before, but that's where the potential of site templates really comes in, because the problem with commerce is it's this awesome, huge tool, but you have to configure it. But if you know the configuration that you're targeting, you can pre-configure a lot, and you can make it a lot easier for someone to set up an e-commerce site. Yeah.
Makes sense. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.